Well, I'm walking. As you see, I'm walking without my cane. I could do that. It's just a safety precaution right now. Welcome to the Dutchman's Wood Shack. Okay, today is what I'm going to show you real quick. Some stuff that I did in the past and present. And one of the things that I look for, again, is I look for the grain. Okay, so I've got three different kinds of wood here and three different wood patterns. And before I get started, I used a finish on this and on this. That was, and on this, and three different kinds of finishes. This one here is done in wipe on poly. This one here is done in a finish that I got from a gentleman from, I believe it was Gerald Vance, Appalachian Heritage Wood Shops finish. And this one I got from, well, I bought some stuff from when I was in Asheville, West Virginia, Asheville, North Carolina. That's osmos, and I use that. Okay, so here's what I did though. All three of these finishes have got a different finish on it, and that's fine. Wood does dry out. Your finishes do get kind of dull and flaky sometimes. So what I usually do is I go over it with this, and it seems it's Howard. You can buy this at any store, pretty much any hardware store, Lowe's, Ace, um, Menards, or Home Depot. They get sell this stuff. It's a common thing. This just like the butcher block sealer that you put on stuff when you're gonna put food in it. Okay, so now this bowl here, the first one, is actually from West Virginia. It's from my friend Gerald Vance. I got some wood from him and shipped back when I was at his place, his shop. Do check him out, by the way. Check out Appalachian Heritage Wood Shop. He's got some great stuff on there. He's always doing something. So this one's got a different pattern on it. Okay, so I don't know if my lights aren't really that good in here, so but see the pattern in it, right? This going up and down like that's pretty cool, isn't it? So when I'm doing wood, see, there's another one right there. See, this is walnut. It's a typical. It's a type of walnut. I don't know. I forget what Gerald told me it was, but it's a walnut from his place out in West Virginia. It's really nice stuff. I love it. Who do we got there? How you guys doing? Oh, happy afternoon for you. Thursday afternoon. Thursday. It's Thursday. I always have a name for stuff. All right. So this one is crabapple tree. Now, I got this. I believe it was one of my neighbor's trees. He threw out some branches and I stole it. But again, it's got a different grain to it. All right. Again, you see the difference in the grains, right? That's pretty cool, right? The dark stuff here. I love the grains in this wood. I can't. It's hard for me to want to do something to alter the grains. So I leave that like that. Now this one is a bizarre looking piece of wood. I brought this back from Germany a couple of years ago. I was visiting relatives. I have no idea what kind of wood this is, but it's got a green tint to it in there. You see that? Look at that. See that? Okay, so this is one of my favorite types of wood. I don't know what it is. When I turned it, it was kind of, I like it. My wife decided to keep it, so there you go. But this was actually from Germany. See, when I go places, I collect wood if I can. 'Cause I like to know the tree species and what different kinds of woodworking people do in that area. That and that's one of the things I really enjoy is collecting wood from different parts of the world. So, what I'd like for you guys to do is show me your wood. No, don't turn that into a kind of what. Show me what kind of wood you got. I'd like to know the different kinds of species and what you turn or make out of it. Because I'm always in search of different things. All right. So, again, out of all these woods, it's just three examples of some of the stuff that I collect. Now, when I go and I look, it's hard to tell what you have uh, from the bark. You always want a side version or somebody to cut it open. Um, and that's kind of hard to do when you got a whole tree and you don't know, unless you go to the store. Now, you could go to any hardware store in the country and find different kinds of wood. But here's the problem: Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, Ace, they all carry just a select maybe three, maybe four types of wood, and that's it. And that's the most readily available for that area. If you want specialty woods, you have to go to a specialty wood store, which costs you a little bit more. If you travel the country, now here's another one. It's better to go to the local places, the woodworkers or wood shops, and find out what type of wood they have, because more than likely they'll have something other than red oak, white oak, walnut, maple, and birch. Now, if I recall, Menards is for you guys that don't, they're out in country or out of the Illinois. There's several places you can go to get wood. Well, Menards is kind of like Lowe's or Home Depot, but they carry aspen, red oak, white oak, birch, mahogany. I think that's about it. Aspen doesn't have a lot of grain to it. It's white. A lot of people use that to build cabinets and spray paint it, or paint it um, for cabinets. Mahogany is okay, except it's a softer wood and it doesn't have a lot of grain unless you nitpick through stuff. Red oak and white oak have grain on it, but again, in the stores, you're looking at stuff that people use to make cabinets with that normally don't have a lot of don't want a lot of crazy green in it. So, as a turner, I look for things that have a lot of grain in it. A lot of my friends do a great job. My club people are a good example. My friends that are in the club, the Windy City Turners, by the way, look them up. The Windy City Turners has a great bunch of guys that do a great job on turning. They have magnificent arts. Their bowls are art. They're not cheap to sell. You're buying a work of art. Not it's this stuff that I'm selling is actually you could use for other things. I don't want to say it's a work of art, but I'm not getting crazy in the art thing yet. Um, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why, but I do sell stuff like this. So if anybody ever gets an idea that you see anything I make it and you're interested, just pull me aside and say, um, shipping is going to be a problem though. I had two or three people, I think a guy named Dan, he was on CB or something, or one of those apps I used to have. Um, who was interested. He was a trucker. He was interested, but the shipping cost would have cost me more than what I made it for. So you know, that's the only drawback. Unless you're in the state of Illinois, I mean, it's if I ship it cross country, you can count on being 20-25 bucks. So it's hard for me to make things under a certain price range because of it's not just. I mean, the cost of wood, I can scavenge the wood, but still, then I'm giving my projects away for free, and I don't want to do that. All right. So anyway, when you go out and do a project, even in pine, you can find pine that's got grain to it. It depends on what your taste and what you're going to make out of it. I like when I turn stuff. I like stuff that has grain in it. Now this here, you don't see it. Okay, see, this here I made, all right? And I made this, and you could do this at home too. If you want to get crazy and not make it dull, like this is maple, all right? So what I did is I took two pieces of and I think it was 1x6, cut them in half, and glued and made the legs. This is before I got the lathe, by the way. So you could end up like this, all right? It's a little dirty. I sanded it, but that's what it looks like. That's the underneath. Make it like that, you know. See, this stuff is kind of yellowed a little bit, but to make it like this. And believe it or not, I made this out of scrap, the top. Now you can make these. If you put pocket joints in here, you can make things out of this. Real easy. You could interchange your tops. The kit, I made the kit for this actually. And what I did is I did it with biscuit joints. These are all biscuit joint. I didn't use any dowels. This here, these here are done with the staple gun, but you could use dowels if you wanted. It would something like this. I wouldn't do that. You could also glue it and not worry about it. You just have to have a jig for that. I did one of each kind once. I did one with dowels. I did one with biscuit joints. And I did one just gluing it. A lot of people like the ones that are like this, except you can remove the piece in it. So in other words, you can make this, but the top part can go over the top of it, so it overhangs a little bit. That just depends on what it is. There's kits in a lot of woodworking magazines where you could do this. It's pretty cool. It's just using your imagination. Always keep an open mind. That's what I'll tell you. This, same thing, scrap pressed wood. So it's pretty simple. All I did was use some pressed board on it and made it pretty simple. I didn't put a bowl. I didn't put anything to pull it because I like it like this. It takes anything. I feel anything like that's on here kind of pulls away from the look of the wood. But same idea, different kinds of wood. I think I have like 5 different kinds of wood in here. But see what I'm talking about, this shows up the oak really good, right? See, the lighter colors don't show it up as much. So, and this is where I tell people to experiment too. Take a piece of wood, take a scrap piece of wood in your shop, and test it out on different kinds of finishes, for instance. It's just a clear finish. My wipe on poly is a good example. Most of the time I just use wipe on poly on it. But what I used on this was a honey nut gel stain. And it just did it light. Unfortunately, you don't make the honey nut gel stain anymore. If you just use a light, clear satin finish on it, you'll be happy with whatever you use because it will darken the wood out a little bit, but it'll show you something really good. So again, and you can use this after you're through, after a certain amount of time to keep it luster back into it. If you're doing really shiny stuff, well, I don't know. I don't like it. It shows it up. This is about as shiny as it gets for me. This piece of wood is my unique piece right here. But when you're doing stuff, you want to make sure that if you're big into grains, do it that way. And then don't get all fancy. See, I did this with a piece of wood, and I kind of regret it. I think I could have done that with a round over argy bit on a router table instead of me trying to put some trim around it. I was trying to do something different. It's okay. It's sellable if I want to sell it, and but that's something I experiment. Your shop should be kind of a science lab. And the reason I say this is because each piece of wood, each species of tree has its own characteristics, and you got to figure out what kind of wood and what is good for your project. That's why I always tell people it is best to take a piece of wood, just a small piece of wood, and play around with stains and varnishes and see what it looks like before you buy the wood, so that you get an idea about it. A lot of the chain stores have good examples on the wall in the stain department, and they're hanging over some of their bins, showing you what things look like. The thing that you got to remember is that's just small pieces of oak or something. Find out what kind of wood that is if you don't know it, and ask the salesman what it is and what kind of finish that they put on it. Because not everybody, it's always just the same finish, and sometimes whatever wood is on there might not be the same wood as what you're buying in the store. So it's kind of like paint, painting a house in the same way. So anyway, that's my spiel to today. I thought I'd do a short version. Show me what you guys can make. Show me what you're using for a wood. Um, I've got wood laying all over this place, different kinds of species of wood, and it's always fun to work with stuff and find out what it is. And especially if you can salvage old wood. Now, I like to use a lot of old, if I can get it, people tearing out old houses that are like, 70, 80, and 90 years old or older, because that means it's old growth wood. The oak is what is really kind of neat. The worm, what I call wormy wood. Wormy wood, it looks like it's got worms in it, or termites have been in it before, but it's all just, it's usually off of window trim and stuff. I've got a lot of it in here that I've salvaged out of a old Victorian house. So, if you want to just experiment on wood, if you're a turner like I am, you do stuff on the lathe. Use pine. I use scavenge old pallets. You could take a bunch of old pallets and make all kinds of stuff out of them, if you're creative. So I make bird houses, believe it or not, and they do live in them. And it doesn't matter. Trust me. If somebody tells you if you paint your birdhouse, nobody's going to live in it, that's false. Birds don't see colors, for one. Okay, so I've got two in my backyard. I've had in there for a number of years, and they're all living in them. I think they're living in them all year round. They're already in them. So um, if somebody tells you that's a, I don't know, that's a falsity to me anyway. You can do all kinds of stuff. Just it, and this is why I say people keep an open mind, open minds, and be creative. All right, be a maker. Do something bizarre that nobody else has done, and don't let anybody else tell you how to do it. Just do it on your own. Figure it out on your own, because make it what you want it to make it, not somebody else's stuff. And with that note, I'll get off. You guys have a great afternoon. I don't know if I'll get back on tonight, but I had to show you what is going on and how I do things. Sooner or later, I'm going to be doing some stuff here. I've got birdhouses I got to make for the spring. I've got a couple that are already done, but anyway, God bless you guys. Have a great afternoon, and I'll talk to you in the near future. Thanks again for checking out the Dutchman's Wood Shack. See ya.